We are now going to revisit a topic that we've already discussed, namely the differences between C and C++. The last time we had this conversation, we were approaching things from the perspective of folks learning C. Now we are aspiring C++ programmers, and so we have a slightly different take on these differences. A quick refresher makes sense. As we've already discussed, C++ is a superset of C. All important C language constructs are supported in C++, and anything that you can do in C, you can also do in C++. C++ is like C in many ways. The structure of a program, header files, the compilation process, memory management, and even to a certain extent, data types, arrays, and pointers. I think you'll find that the differences start to break down once you get to the data types and arrays and pointers, but even so, the origins of C are absolutely clear in many C++ constructs. That said, C++ is much more than C. It not only has object-oriented programming support, which is the most obvious addition that it brings to C, but it also has powerful support for templates and functional programming, many more libraries, and easier to use and more powerful memory management. While writing our C++ programs, our emphasis is going to largely be on classes and objects. C is a procedural programming language where the basic building blocks are functions. On the other hand, C++ is largely object oriented, so classes and objects are going to be the main building blocks, and in recent years, templated classes and function objects have also assumed a great deal of importance. Because C does not have classes or encapsulation, it's rather top down. The focus is on a linear flow of control, on sequential steps, rather than on data and relationships. In C++, right from its earliest days, an important part of getting your program design right was correctly designing your classes and their methods and member variables. To that extent, C++ has, from day one, heavily focused on data and on modeling relationships. We've already referred to this, but it's worth reiterating that the logical units of C programs are functions. The typical logical units of C++ programs are objects of classes. Functions also play an important role, but in a rather different fashion than they do in C. This will make more sense once we get to the functional programming support that C++ features. C supports a far smaller set of data types. It's a more basic language and has primitive and fixed data types. The farthest that you can get with C is up to structs, enums, or unions. C++ allows you to do much more, not only using classes and objects, but also using templates and function objects. Error handling is pretty different as well. C++ supports exceptions while C does not. Exceptions are a great way of flagging and dealing with errors or abnormal conditions as soon as they occur. This is a concrete manifestation of the design principle: detect runtime errors early. C does not support access modifiers such as public, private, and protected, which means that external code can change internal data. C++, on the other hand, has an architecture of classes and objects along with public, private, and protected access. This can largely restrict the ways in which outside code can reach in and change data which it should not be doing. Program constructs in C exist in one large global namespace, and in fact, C does not support the concept of a namespace explicitly at all. In contrast, C++ supports namespaces, and it also has well thought out mechanisms to deal with name conflicts. For instance, scoped enums in C++ are a way to have names of enum values across different enum types which clash with each other. One quick word as far as compatibility goes. C code, of course, can be compiled using C++ compilers, but C++ code cannot be compiled using C compilers. It stands to reason, of course, because a C compiler has no idea what to do with constructs such as classes, templates, exceptions, and all of those nice language features we just discussed. Again, C++ is a superset of C, and so we cannot compile C++ using a C compiler. In terms of their use cases, C tends to be used in very low level applications like text editors or network drivers, where extreme performance and being able to talk directly to the machine are almost the sole parameters in choice of language. C++ is much more general purpose and it's used in applications where low level programming is important, but it also lends itself really well to large scale enterprise applications as well.